All right, my friends, it's Hank with a quick mod tutorial. Basically, every game that's highly modded needs to be maintained every once in a while, especially if you're adding new weapons and things like that. And you have dependencies like EA-NPC, SKK stalkers, better locational damage. You want the very best, you want the most upgraded. You also have to deal with things like the VIS-G tagging, which can be a little bit cumbersome at times. And as things like VIS-G become more standard, or they've had more time to be improved upon, people will release patches that will make your life a whole lot easier. So let's get right to it. I'm sure you don't need to look at my ugly mug here. Let's go right straight to my mod manager, and you can take a look at what I've got here. Now, I never ever changed from the original Nexus mod manager. I don't like MO2 or any other things because I don't like utilities that run utilities through a utility. I like a baseline. Loot's always been garbage, sorry, but it has. You got to figure out your own load order, and if you want to do that, I would recommend, as I always do, go to Buy Rate Beck. He's the man. Teach you how to do things in order. All right. Just to skip to the meat of it, I upgraded armor and weapon keywords community resource, which is AWKCR. Oops. Better be very careful with what I click. My mouse is a little persnickety because I had to switch to a crappier one. That's just life. That's just life in the modding community. That's life doing work for free. Let's see. Sorry about this. Let me get my cursor found here. All right. Now, I've set up my own category optics for scopes and reticles because I do a lot with scopes and reticles, clearly. There is a scopes framework and a scopes framework for developers that I haven't quite gotten around to messing with. I did, in the early part of Season 5, use the Macmillan, which is a good weapon. The only thing I wasn't particularly happy about is the fact that Brotherhood or Gunners would a lot of times have them in their leveled list and they wouldn't have stocks or anything on them. They just became, the level list injection was a little wrong. So I've just taken that out. And I'll address that later about level list, injection scripts, and leveled list crafting. I'm going to show you guys a group of scripts because I had a subscriber not long ago, Just Niels, ask me about a script that would save him a lot of time when it came to basically copying a lot of things. And I think what he was looking for was X-edits, which is kind of like a different iteration of an older Delphi script. Or, and I know this is a little bit technical, a little bit off track, but I want to give you guys the resources, especially if you're in Fallout 4 Edit. Now, MXPF is X-edit. This is inside of the Skyrim community, but it works just as well for Fallout 4 because it is, of course, the same. X-edit's essentially the same. Well, it is the same program. Okay, I've got my thumbnails up here. We'll get to that possibly later. Depends on how much time I have. Now, I did go ahead and I didn't need to upgrade my VIS-G item sorting because I already had that. Oh, this last utility here is Rudy Simple Sorter, which is, I'm not going to go through it. You're going to read it. And if you have a specific question about some of these utilities, what you need to do is you need to leave me a comment and I'll address it. that's not what this is about today, because I want to get back into the game as soon as possible. All right, with the VIS-G item sorting, you can see now, let's see, that things have come along quite a ways since VIS-G was first released. Now I've got something called Lost, which is a bookmark. This bookmark here, all out. The AWKCR patches that work with VIS-G. Now what happens when you use this is it's going to totally... It's basically that VIS-G tutorials that I've showed you guys and how to mix better locational damage. What this also does is it assigns the workbench. It also assigns tags and icons. It also assigns naming elements. It also does one thing that's a major pain in my own ass is level list for enemies, level list injection scripts. So what I had to do was I had to upgrade my unofficial Fallout 4 patch, which I've already done. I had to upgrade my armor and keywords community resource to version 8.6.0. My DUF UI was still good, and my VIS-G item sorting was still good. So I've already got Lost downloaded. Okay. I'm not trying to screw around and waste anybody's time here. And the way that I've got that set up is I've got my own little patches segment that I've got in Nexus Mod Manager. Lost. I've got Schnips. Now Schnips and the VIS-G patches from Birate Beck's mod list were the early iterations of what came out when you were trying to do everything in Birate Beck's list with VIS-G. So very, very early patches. Now I'm going to leave these patches on, which might be a little counterintuitive, but you're going to have to bear with me. I'm going to show you what's up with that. Now with Lost, I'm going to go through here real quick and make sure that I have all the weapons that I want to use in-game already. I did add the Accuracy International L9A61. Again, I did use the weapon a while back, but it has been updated, and I hope the accuracy has improved on the rifle. Initially, when I used the rifle, I had some problems with the scope alignment. It was a little off. So I'm going to go ahead and trust the mod author because it was a beautiful animation. It was a beautiful gun. I'd like to give it another try. My 50 caliber, you're familiar with. The Aquila, you're familiar with. The Balkalite magazines, which you should be familiar with for my Chinese assault rifle, which is the larger capacity magazine for the Chinese assault rifle. Now, currently the Chinese assault rifle only comes in 3 calibers. It comes in 5mm, 5.56 millimeter, and 308, which is kind of ridiculous because it needs a 7.62 millimeter receiver. So that's just a mod idea. We've got the Accelerator Plasma Energy Weapon. That's my Typhoon. It has a variety of configurations. We've got the Aquila, which is kind of like the laser sniper rifle. The Heckler and Koch G36 complex with the constructible mods and add-ons. So I've got everything from 308 to 7.62 millimeter to 5 millimeter that can be fired from the G36. I've also modified the weights on these weapons. If you do a lookup, like, let me see if I've got my book handy of guns. Everybody needs a book on guns if they're modified. Hell, Everybody needs a book on guns in their library. Yeah, I've got right here just a quick reference guide. And when I look at how much weapons weigh, the according to Hoyle weight of the weapon, the Accuracy International with the 10-box magazine should have a muzzle velocity of 2,788 feet per second, and the weight of the gun should be 14.3 pounds. Okay, let's take a look at the Remington 700. Let's find that real quick. Or just a classic hunting rifle will do. Let's just go ahead and use the Remington 40 XB Rangemaster, because that's pretty close. Now that weapon, a target rifle, anywhere from 30 caliber to 338 Magnum, it's actually got a variety of calibers that it could fire in. It could fire in 223. It could fire a half-inch group at one minute of angle, which is a little bit more. I think it's 100 yards, 91 meters. The weapon could also be chambered for 45 and in 7.62 millimeter in basically 30-06, which we can call 308. A neck down .458. So what I would really like to see is receivers for the hunting rifle in 7.62 millimeter. In 5.56 could probably be skipped, but a 7.62 and also that 45-70 round. That 45-70 round is pretty much like a bear round. It's kind of got a lower velocity, but I think it should have some knockback power. This is just a suggestion, possibly to even going with better locational damage. But it is that receiver that makes a lot more sense for the hunting rifle than it does for a 50 caliber, because a 50 caliber round is like that. I mean, you need a 50 caliber weapon to fire a 50 caliber round, and that little piddly ass 13-pound hunting rifle just ain't gonna cut it. It would jerk that fucking rifle right out of your hands and fly off into the bushes somewhere. But if we were to take that 45-70 round and put it on the receiver for the hunting rifle, it might not have as much range as, say, like the 308, but you could get a hell of a lot more knockdown power out of it. You get more power out of it. 7.62 millimeter, you might be able to get something like you would do with a calibrated receiver. You would get a faster fire rate. You potentially could get, I really can't see where it make much of a difference of how many rounds you get in the magazine. But to have that level of accuracy in a bolt-action rifle and the choice of those different calibers, 7.62, .308 and 4570. Makes sense, because I don't know why anybody would want to chamber down to a pea shooter like 32 for the other receiver that's for the hunting rifle. It makes no sense at all to me. So those are just a couple ideas. Now I can make receivers, it just takes a long time. And there are people that in the modding community that can do it faster and better. So I'm just trying to observe the weights on these things, and that would be like 13 pounds, because I'm trying to point out a little something later too. Now the service rifle, like your standard M16, I'm going to use the Armalite AR-15 as an example. The weight on that gun is 6.4 pounds because it's mostly plastic. Now, if you notice the one that I've got in game, the thing is like 20 fucking pounds. So what mod authors are not paying particular attention to is the weight of weapons as they are in real life. And this is why, people complain about immersion. And there's like, why are you carrying 700 pounds of equipment? Well, in real life, an M16 doesn't weigh 20 fucking pounds. So, there's that. Let's take a quick look at the Chinese assault rifle, and then I'll just shut the fuck up on this point. The Winchester Model 70 is probably the best hunting rifle. And that's only 8.5 pounds, fully loaded. That's the best example of the hunting rifle right there. And again, you can find it in a lot of chambers. And, that .458 inch Winchester Magnum, pretty damn close to the 4570 for game purposes. I know people like to get all crazy about their new calibers. Keep it simple. I mean, it's an approximation is good enough. Shotgun. I think mine weighs something like 16 pounds. I'll have to look at it again. The weight of the gun, it really should be only 6.75 pounds for a Winchester Model 1300. So we got to take another look at these weights on these weapons. Now, I did very much like the idea of the, let's get back to the screen here. I did very much like the idea of the, and I've already gotten rid of it, G3 and the G3 family of receivers. I just didn't like the animations. I wasn't particularly wild about how they were probably going to pop up in the leveled lists, being all, a piece of this and a piece of that. I didn't find it to be impressive enough to add to the whole set. Institute plasma rifle, I know you guys have seen that. That's what Kate's using right now. It's what makes those scents so fucking deadly. Is because it's a plasma rifle with a high rate of fire and a high degree of accuracy that scents use, which are already the most perceptive, accurate, locationally kind of difficult to kill, team tactic oriented creatures in the game. Alright. I got rid of my old FN FAL SA58 and just used the new version here. And so it might be that I lose it in my inventory, which might mean that I lose the 2-shot legendary that I had on it. Whatever. I've got them. I've stripped legendaries off stuff all the time. It'll be around. Okay. I added in a lot of the SKK stuff. The random encounter manager I already had. Combat stalkers I already had, but there was a upgraded version, so I put that new version in. Same thing with random encounter manager. There was a new version, put that in. Dynamic time scale is absolutely necessary to keep when you're working in your settlements to adjust that time. So it takes the time to a 1-to-20 ratio instead of rushing through time. It actually makes the game as you travel feel more like time is passing in a normal fashion. Still have the script latency test stuff up. I did update the markers. I did add combat settlers because to test some of these mods and weaponries and things like that, what I'll do is I'll spawn, I'll use the settlement attack system to get my settlements attacked and see how they fare against the combat settlers, and I can try my weapons against real targets. I've also got instant battleground up. Now I did load in SKK Dynamic Damage Manager, which can be used through not only a holotape, but I also believe that it can be used through MCM, but I did take it out because it interferes too much with better locational damage. If you have something, if you have a need that you need to address as far as damage goes with better locational damage, I would suggest just upping your the skills of your enemy, their detection rates, their ability to ambush through pack attack, their accuracy, their aim, the intensity of their fire, the amount of damage that the explosions will do to you. Just make your enemies tougher and level list in stronger weapons for them. And better locational damage, you're still kind of at that 1-to-1 sort of thing, so with better locational damage, I didn't really see the need for this dynamic damage manager, and it overrides. So I couldn't do that. Alright. I don't think, let's see. Now, loss, what I'm going to do with this here, you can see my plugins. The whole point of that exercise was to make sure that I had all the weapons that I wanted loaded. Because what I'm going to do is I'm going to reinstall the mod. Because there were some things that I took out, some things that I added. And this is probably going to blow my plugin level over the top, which is fine, because we're going to deal with that too. And I'll also be able to demonstrate to you why I didn't disable Schnips patches or my patches, the Hanks patches, or the buy rate back patches first. Anytime now. I shouldn't have anything chewing up a whole lot of RAM, so if it takes too long, I'll just Alt F4 and come back. Not going to hurt anything. I'll give it 1 second, but patience is not my greatest virtue. Okay. Yeah, patience is not my greatest virtue. I like to play Fallout. Do the tutorials for you guys, because if I have to do it, there's no need to suffer alone. I'm going to make you go through the misery too. And then that way you also know what to do when it needs to be done. There's a smarter way to do it than the way that I just did it. The smarter way would be to disable That's the smarter way to do it. Now, I'm not going to just be able to re-enable it, because it's going to re-enable everything that it asked me for in the when I initially loaded it. Some things have changed. So I'm going to reinstall from here. Now you can see all my Z's official patch repository below there. Anti-material rifle, Chinese assault animations. Now I can load all these things. Not a terrible idea, but I've done a lot of expansions. You know, my G36 has all the expansions. My remote explosives has been redone. I redid those myself. My SCAR H is now also a SCAR L and a SCAR something else. It fires 7.62, 5.56, and 308. So my RU-556 has the RU-556 expansion. So doing all those things manually, those manual patches that I've done for better locational damage sometimes is better than, you know, loading your officials. And those were, again, from what? The early part of November of last year. So there's probably better out there now. I may decide to reload Lost. I may decide to delete and download it again. If anybody felt like downloading, anybody felt like donating, if they find these tutorials and they enjoy the series, to kick a little money towards Nexus Mods, I'd love to have a premium membership. For whatever reason, like PayPal and the rest of the world seems to hate me, and that's why, well, I can't ever get that crap to work. And living with a vow of poverty, I don't, beggars can't really be choosers. So I would have to rely on your charity to get that Nexus Mods lifetime membership. I feel like I try to contribute as much as I can and give away as much as I can for free to thank the community as best as possible, but it would be nice to be able to have that full membership status, because I do use the site so often. I am a big fan of the community, and I would be greatly honored to join it, a more official way in which I can contribute financially. Has to take a little time. So let's take a look at these scripts here while we're waiting for this. Okay, leveled list injector script. This is what I'm going to be using next. Not today, of course, because I've got to go through creation kit, and then I've got to go through Fallout 4 edit to basically assign the right weapons to the right enemies. The Delphi scripts do a whole lot of different things. This guy, you really need to take a look at his work. But if you're going to look at his work, the place to do it is through the Skyrim. And this is what Just Niels, a subscriber of mine, was looking for a while ago, about how to do bulk edits for creating patches and sorting mods to save him a whole lot of time. I remember it was Christmas Eve. I talked to him. He's there doing it by hand. I felt so sorry for him because I didn't know how to do it. But this is the place that you would go. And this forum is a little more lively. I mean, Ablaze666 says he figured it out, so that's who I'd suggest asking. Let's see how far along we are. I'm simply amazed that things are taking as long as they are. I might have to shut my system down, do a reboot before I start playing. Alright, in the meantime, I'll show you yet another thing that you can do. These are the icon libs 2 progress. Alright, it's done. Download that again. I'm going to make sure that starts. Okay. And let's go ahead and activate that. And the thing I like about this is it because it has an fmod or fmod, which is a very, very, very nice thing for mod authors to include to make everybody's lives easier. So endorse for sure. So it shows you I've already got settlement menu manager. So I can basically click through. I do like real throwing weapons, but maybe that'll be for a different playthrough. And you can see what I've got in and what it supports. Kila, P220, RU556, G36. And none of these are going to be overwrites. Diamond City expansion. I do not have Workshop Framework Plus. Sorry, I don't. I'm going to endorse those mods. This is just going to blast my plugin list way over the top. And that is okay. I did add toggleable night vision. Well, it didn't. Maybe because they're not active. I did add toggleable night vision for the Accuracy International. Let's look at these plugins here. All right. Now, load order is so critical. So what we're going to do from here, I'm going to export to a text file. Just save that. And for the moment, I'm closing Nexus Mod Manager. Also going to drop these windows here and take a stop at Wire Bash. Because what this is going to do is it's going to help me clean up, ghost what I don't need, delete what I don't need, examine my load order in a little bit greater detail. I can get some details on what the masters are. I can get details on leveled lists. I can ghost some things I might not want to see. Oh, my saves. Okay, so these are the mods that I have loaded in the proper order. Everything looks good to me at the moment. As we're going down through, I'm going to maximize this. So there's my G36 and G36 add-ons. My RU-556, the Armory Project. There's a service rifle. And it should have a service rifle expansion pack, which is right here, the sit rep. There's the SCAR expansion. Remington 700, the L6 A1, Fallout 4 New Vegas. There's the FNFAL grenade launcher 40mm. We are the Minutemen. This controls Minutemen quests, Raider overhaul, Prove Brotherhood, AE patches, and for the IES suit, this might be Institute. Synth overhaul, Cross for Children of Adam, that's COA. Everyone's best friend. This is the no hugs. So everyone's best friend lets dog meat and another companion go with you. SCM EBF is a no hugs attached, basically. Keep them from being a pain in your ass. LBPAC, and that patch, if I remember correctly, might have something to do with, I don't know, I don't recall right at the moment. So, I'd rather not fuck that up. I've got all my immersive Fallout stuff in here. Movement is more normal. Real recoil. Realistic aim down sights. Raw input. Realistic jumping. Vanilla laser recoil. Vanilla player movement. My toggleable night vision is new. Reduced scope fade in. I hate to have fade in because when I shoulder my rifle, I gotta be able to see through the sights. Scope overlay depth of field goes with not with 3D scopes so much, but it goes with something that's going to be lower probably or higher as far as my scopes. Scope overlays. 3D scopes is see-through scopes. Better explosives redo, you want that at the top. Then better locational damage. Buy rate Beck says you want it below. I've done enough testing to say no, you don't. Better locational damage. Automatron, Workshop, Far Harbor, Nuka World. Then your leveled lists. Super Mutant Redo with its Armor Smith Extended VIS-G patch. You want your better locational damage for your Ghoul edition. Better perks enhanced. No throwing arc. Better VATS, no reduction. That means I have no reduction in the speed with which my enemies can attack me. Better cooking, better chems, they last long. More recipes. You see me use them all the time if you're a fan of the series. Remote explosives. remote explosive CT defix in the workshop, just assigns it to the chemistry workbench. No combat music because I hate it. And then you start to get into things that are going to be cosmetic. Hairdos, eyes of beauty, merged appearance, facial hair, all the beards. Now the companion overhaul gives them different looks for non-player characters, settlers. I do like my lowered weapon animation. Settlement menu manager, workshop rearranged, sandbag fortifications. So now we've gotten into what changes my settlements. Hamid Sim Kadar is actually just like barbed wire fences and shit like that. Shooting target, salvage beacons. Then all my SKK stuff comes together. Okay. Now, this is the Schnips patch for it, which I might be changing. Merge visuals is part of something that is birate back setup. Highly recommend that you get that because he packs everything together very nicely. I like wet. Who doesn't? That's kind of immature, but most of my audience is male, so. And if you don't like it, you're a bitch. Pip-Boy flashlight. They are lighting True Blood. Power armor effects. My power armor, anytime you get into it, so another 300 pounds, because typically I've got, like a backpack. So it sucks to hop into power armor and find you can't carry as much weight. I don't do a whole lot more with power armor, but there is a lot that you can do. Then you get on to animations and sounds, conversations and patches. Then your cities and settlement expansions. So with this blueprint thing that I have, instead of having to build a settlement all myself, a lot of people on Nexus Mods do some absolutely fantastic settlement building, and it's just a friggin' travesty not to use their brilliant work, especially when you're doing things like when your focus is on tactical gameplay like mine is, instead of having to build settlements. Okay, now we're getting into the patches section here. And this is important. Because what I've got to do is basically compare what I have with what I don't have. For the moment, I'm going to unghost all this stuff. If there's anything I can delete, I'm going to delete it. But at the moment, I don't see that there is. Now I'm going to leave everything loaded as we go into Fallout 4 Edit. And I'm going to show you why. That's crucial. It's also crucial here too. I can show you, like with this better chems here, I can look at the details. Yeah. Like for Raider Overhaul. What it's doing is it's assigning leveled lists, which is crucial. Okay, let's take a look at See if I can get a little more look at this here. The real bad boy that it's pretty much all dependent on is this right here. This patch BLDHBT. It's going to do a lot of changing on your leveled lists. So, better locational damage being one of my masters. There's another one that's lurking around here that should have a delev and a relev on it. Right here, BLD leveled lists. This is crucial. Those are your leveled lists for your better locational damage. Okay, so you'll see delev, relev there. If you need a tutorial on that, again, leave a comment because I'm not going to go through it right now because I don't need to. Okay, I'm not going to need the Aquila VIS-G patch from Schnips because I've got the Lost one. Let's take a look at what the Aquila Lost one does for us. Okay, so it's got armor keywords. So that's going to put it in the right workbench. Let's see how Schnips did. Perhaps the same. But I'm going with Lost, so Schnips is going by. Don't need Schnips binoculars. Let's see his cross expeditionary suit up here. So I don't know why I would have it ghosted. Chosen. Brotherhood Recon, which is cross. Let's check a look here. Yeah, there's your cross. Cross Brotherhood Recon. So let's get rid of that one. Institute Expeditionary patch. We're going to take a look at the details. Oh yeah, that's it. Yep. So this can go. Settlement menu manager. So it's going to give me a holotape, which I know Schnips didn't do. I had to do that myself. Okay, brilliant. Schnips. Now my Hank's 3D scopes. You can tell I wasn't fucking around with this. Because I do a lot of, I'm going to do a lot, you know, you have to do a lot of work with your 3D scopes in an independent file and an independent patch or plug-in rather, if you want to have the right scopes for the right weapon with the right alignment. So I'm not going to be deleting that, nor am I going to be deleting my PA&PC explosives because I've changed the weights on it. Weapons are all the same. Masters should be the same. But the big difference here between my PA&PC patch and the lost PA&C patch, they've got leveled lists, which is awesome. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to find a way to combine these two. Because I changed the weight. You know, my flash grenades are not half a pound. My distractors are like 1/10 of a pound. My rad grenades are 3/10 of a pound. So I try to get weights in a more reasonable place. Cross. We got a Chosen of Adam patch here. Let's take a look. Details. Oh yeah. At the right place too. COA. Okay. So Schnips can go. Schnips with the P220. So we got Lost with the P220. Beautiful. Beautiful. Now, what this is telling me right now is it's also telling me that it's not patched for better locational damage. I'm going to have to do that. Whereas this one isn't either because I probably manually patched it. You don't need to make a master to do that manual patch. Doesn't have to be a master dependency. Okay, we are the Minutemen. There we go. Let's take a look. All hails to the yeah. Looks good. Schnips. R91 expanded. I don't need it because I might even take that weapon out anyway. String ride right there. Goodbye. Salvage beacon right there. Bye. The 3D scopes on the R9 1AR. I could probably get rid of that because that's just a patch for see-through scopes for the R91, which is a weapon I may remove anyway. I was thinking about putting it in the leveled list for gunners and perhaps some raiders, but I think I'd rather just have them use pipe weapons and service rifles. And if I need it, I know that I can just download it again, so goodbye. Alright, my Macmillan VIS-G patch. That can go too. If I need another one, I'll make another one. I don't have a MP5N, so that can go. Super Mutant Redo. We're going to rely on Loss. Let's take a quick look here. Else to the yeah. Most definite. So goodbye. Schnips for the Mercenary. Let's take a look here. I thought it was at the top. Okay. Details. Oh yes. Oh yes. Leveled lists. That's the thing that was crucial to me. That's what it's all about. That's why I'm using and preferring Lost over Schnips or even my Hank's shit. So Schnips can go. Now my tactical grenade stuff is a work in progress, as well as my 3D scopes. and my explosives. So those are a work in progress. But I'm going to, well, not activate tactical grenades, but or 3D scopes. But I do need my PANP explosives active, so I can combine these two when I go into Fallout 4 edit. So in Wire Bash, you don't really have to do anything. It's going to save as you close. And Fallout 4 edit's where we are now. We're going to load everything. Shouldn't take long. My new unofficial 4 patch is going to be applied to everything. Okay, first things first. My constructible object. Lost wants it on an explosives workbench. I want it at a chem lab so I can do it in the field. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this. Deep copy is override with overriding into. Yes, I'm absolutely sure. My lost PANC patch. Let me take another look at this before I do it. Cancel. Let me see what's in here first. Yes. I am going to overwrite these things and then leave the leveled items as they are. So deep copy is override with overriding into. Yes to all. Okay. Hank's just turned green because there's no more conflict because it's lower in the load order, but it's not going to matter because I'm going to delete it anyway. And then this will all turn green. So our deep copy is override with overriding into. Yes to all. Okay, so that takes care of that. And I can actually delete it from here, but I would prefer not to. I'm going to delete it in Wire Bash. That's just how I like to roll. All right, next things. Settlement attack system should be fine. Salvage beacon should be fine. Random encounter should be fine. Explosives redo. That's not fine. Although it might be. Yep, it's fine. Diamond City's fine. West Tech Optics is fine. Pre-war binoculars is fine. Mercenaries fine. Canine harness should be fine. It's weapons I'm looking for now. Okay. So my P220 patch. Miscellaneous item is what's applied to the weapon, or basically what sits in your inventory as the mod. Constructible object is what you can build at the station, and the weapon itself. So I'm going to need to go up to my P220. Which is why organization is so key. I keep everything in order. And what I need is object modification. What I'm going to do is I'm going to copy as override into my lost P220 patch. I don't think there's anything else I need to really mess with here. But I'm going to copy that in there too. Okay. So let's pop down here. Yep, the weapons were already done. Object modification. What we're going to do now is we're going to run the script, the Fallout 4 BLD patcher. If you don't know how to load scripts into Fallout 4 Edit, leave me a comment. I'll direct you to the right resources. Name patcher's fine. And I'm going to apply the script on the weapons. Okay. And you can see where it modifies the damage. It also is going to modify a few other things. 45. Some of the naming stuff. Base damage. And you really have to get into it, and I can explain these things later. About reload speed. So this is slower. This is I believe this is faster and this is slower. To make it more realistic. Now all these should be tagged, and they are, because Lost did a great job on that. All right. Now with the RU556 patch, this is where it gets fun, because it, takes time. I might even have to timestamp some of this stuff. Okay, what you need is miss item, and you want to copy as override into the 556 patch. The reason that I did that is because it should have the expansions, but if it doesn't, whatever. It's not going to hurt. Object modification is really where it's at. Then we're going to need weapon, which should already be in there, but it's not going to hurt anything. Now the armory project I'm going to include in that same patch. So we're going to need constructible objects. We're going to need the armor. And the armor add-ons. I'm not particularly too wild about messing with that right now. I'll get back to it later. It's not mission critical. Now these are the things that are just going to be labeled as mods. Like when you pull them off of your weapon. Let's get that in there. The object modification is the actual thing that makes the modification to the weapon. And then the weapon itself. And you notice I'm not doing any overrides because it's not necessary. This is the AR, yet another expansion for the RU556, so the constructible objects have to go in. We do need to add that master, so we will. Again, those are just the miscellaneous items. Okay, it needs Nuka World as a master, that's fine. And then the weapon itself should already be in there, no big deal. We're going to do it again just for sake of being thorough. And now let's go down here and get this thing done. Constructible objects. I'm seeing everything is CO mod, which is a good thing. That means it's going to be, when it says COBJ, that means it's going to be crafted at, unfortunately, I think crafted at a, make sure we get this right here. Now, where it's crafted is not super mission critical for me right now. I can actually check it in game and live with it. What I'm going to do with this item, again, is I'm going to apply patcher here. So everything's good to go. Well, that would have had no effect because the miscellaneous item, it should just be named. And they are. It's actually object modification that needs the better locational damage patcher. You can see these things here, have they been modded? Changing the float rates, which is kind of like recoil in that receiver. Okay. Same thing with the weapon. Okay, so I did change the U556. So I've got it all in one patch. Okay, remote explosives. This is the one that I'm pulling from Hank's. Remote explosives. You can find it here. Fact of the matter is, I'm probably modified that in the base file, in the base mod itself, because I was thinking to myself way back in those days, if I fucked it up, I would probably just have to uninstall the mod anyway. So let's see if I can find remote explosives. It should be below, of course. Better explosives redo. Better explosives redo is a master to this. And then with explosives, you've got to modify everything from magic effects to projectiles to the weapon itself. I've done extensive modifications on this. Let me see if I can give you an example. So my pulse charge Okay, energy damage is my object effect, which is my enchantment. So I have to go back basically down to my magic effect. Or spell, rather. Damn it, where is it? So it takes some time to get through this. It's been a while. Munition. Hell, it might even be remote explosive energy damage. Might even be in better explosives redo. So I'm not getting into all this right now because it does take a pretty extensive amount of time. I cannot really see this fucking my shit up too much. Because all I want it to do is name it. But I don't think I'm going to be that lucky. So I think my lost remote explosives patch is just going to have to be disabled. Because my, I've already done enough. And I'll fix this later because it's going to take some time. Now, the Chinese assault rifle. Standalone. All I really need is the object modifications. And I'm going to deep copy those as override into my melody. And I'm going to do the same thing with just the weapon. And while I'm here, I'm going to take care of a couple of other things. We're going to do the same thing with the G36 complex, maybe one at a time, because G36 complex might not have everything that it needs. So we're going to run the better locational filter, better locational damage script on this. Same thing with the weapons. As far as the miss item goes, are they tagged? Yes, they're tagged. That's what we're looking for. Also leveled lists. Okay, so we're good on that. Okay, hunting shotgun. Let's do that one next. So we've already got leveled lists here. That's fine. For the Chinese assault rifle. I've been fairly pleased with that so far, so there's no real need to get persnickety about changing that. Gonna need object modification. We're gonna need weapon. Everything else, loss should have covered. So let's run. A better locational damage script. Okay. Okay, my G36 patch. It's got my regular G36 and the miscellaneous items. So what we're going to need to do is add the object modification, of course. Now, one thing this does not have is a leveled list. So that's something I'm just going to file away in my pbrain. Because I want to make a leveled list for it later. Okay, and I want all my G36 add-ons in the same place as well. So I've got to put the constructible objects in there. Because things that are lower in your load order list are going to override. But I did need that master, that's okay. It probably will also need Nuka World if it doesn't have it. There it is. Okay, so let's make sure all that's down in the right place. Now, did it tag? Does not look like all of it tagged. So these are going to be now crafted at the Advanced Engineering Crafting workbench. I may decide to modify that to the Weaponsmith workbench later, but I'm happy with the Advanced because I do have both of those workbenches I can work from. So constructible object basically is just placing where you'll build from. Miscellaneous item, this is going to be the tags. They're tagged. This one I would prefer for it to say mod in front of it. Like this one does. So just to be anal retentive, let's go ahead and do that. Now let's see if there's a way that I can apply a script here. Let's try the VIS-G. Hopefully I don't fuck myself to death on this because I've come too far. So instead of screwing around with a script that I'm not certain about, I'll just go ahead and add that little mod tag in later and do some more reading before I get crazy. Object modification, this is where we're going to need the better locational damage patcher. And same for the weapon. So we're good to go on everything but miss item. I don't see that as a huge big deal right at the moment. It does not have a leveled list. So that's something I'm going to have to get in there and do later. Now, sit rep is directly connected to the service rifle. So let's see where we are with that. I'm not seeing a service rifle. Because this is the service rifle from Fallout 4 New Vegas. This is not the service rifle made by Deadpool, which is a little more common. So I may have to make my own patch. And guess what? As fate would have it, I've already done that. Although it does seem to be interfering with my lost RU556 patch. So what I might do here is I'm just going to cram the sit rep miscellaneous items into the 556. As well as the constructible objects. As well as the object modifications. As well as the weapon. Okay, so I'm not modifying the service rifle expansion project itself. I'm simply doing some of the overrides that I want that are lower in my load list to come right straight out of my lost patch, which I may rename. Miss item is not really important. It's the object modification that I'm really after because it's about the functionability of the weapon that I am primarily concerned with. When it comes to like maybe getting a couple of tags right or getting it at the right workbench, that's a different story. And it's not as big a deal to me. The load lists are leveled lists are kind of a big deal to me. That's going to require a lot of work later on. So I can probably get rid of my I'm going to be able to delete my own VIS-G patch here for sitrep, as well as G36. I've already taken care of those things. All right. I have not completed what would need to be done for service rifle, I don't think. So let's put the constructible items in there. Constructible objects, rather. I might have just done this, but... No, I didn't. So now everything that has to do with sitrep, RU-556, and the expansions, service rifle, the armory project, it's all in my lost RU-556 patch. Again, where it gets made is not that important. The tag is not that important, but the object modification damn sure is. Yeah, a leveled list don't exist there. Again, that's another thing I'm going to have to address. All right, the next thing would be my SCAR projects. See if there's a lost patch for that. I don't see it, so I'm going to just leave my own SCAR patch. Now, I'm not going to be deleting my own stuff. I'm just going to ghost it. I know the MPX, I think that's a lost thing here. Nope. But I do have one of my own. So we'll just leave that one in place. P220 we already took care of. I don't see a Doom Mac anywhere for Lost, nor did I see one for the quad accelerator. But I know there is one for the Aquila, and one for the FNFAL, and one for the anti-material, which is my 50 caliber. So we'll go with the Aquila. Object modification, which in energy weapons and better locational damage is really, quite frankly, not important. Because energy weapon is not modified like ballistics are. So that can pretty much be skipped. Let's take a look here. Changed the class, changed the keywords, renamed it. Great. Not seeing a leveled list, but okay. Let's go on up and deal with the FNFAL, which is this, actually. Can prove it. And what we're going to need there, clearly, is we're going to need the object modification. We're going to need the weapon. I like the thermal effects and stuff. I'm not messing with that. This should be addressed already. I do see it as a leveled item, which pleases me greatly. I'm not going to be messing with the armors. Just leave them as is. Or the explosions. It's a pretty impressive mod. So let's deal just with the better locational damage aspect of it. You can see where the receivers were affected. We also have a new weapon here, the kukri. And how did loss do for us as far as yeah, so they went ahead, all the tags are better for my own. I'm not seeing the construction. So why it doesn't have a spot for construction for the FNFAL? That leveled list, I guess it's just not needed. Why reinvent the wheel? So whoever did the lost patches was paying attention to what needed to be done and what didn't need to be done. All right, so we're down to the Aquila. Again, this is an energy weapon, which in better locational damage you don't want to really screw with that much, so don't. Anti-material, that is important because it's a ballistic weapon. We're going to need the object modifications. We're going to need the weapon. I don't know why they always want to be a pain in the ass and put that fucking pasta rifle in. The rest of it I don't need to mess with. We are seeing leveled item being pasta bullshit. clogging it up for shits and giggles. Alright. Not that I don't love the mod. It might have been something from Fallout New Vegas. Let's see if it's tagged properly. Yes, it is. Great job. Where did they put the They put it at the ammunition workbench. I'm gonna run the better locational damage. And run it again on the weapons. Definitely could use some leveled lists. Note to self. Alright, we should be getting down to the nitty-gritty here. Down to the L6 A1. And this is a little wanky because it's got a couple of patches of its own. This being the toggle night vision patch. So ultimately what I'd like to see is a lost for the L9 A61. But for now, since these are low in the load order list, not a big deal. I just leave it. I like things to be a little bit more clean, but I'm not going to freak out. So these are just VIS-G tweaks, which will be fine. My agony patch. It's not going to be pissing me off at all. Let's take a look at that better locational damage. And how it's going to affect that L6A1. 70 is what I would expect for base 308. Hunting rifle animations, because it's a bolt action. Looking good on the animation reload seconds. There's a lot of attention to detail that went into this mod. That's why I definitely wanted to give it another try. Because getting scope alignments is not an easy thing. So you can see max range on this. Big time difference. The value. Okay. And the night toggle night vision shouldn't really be an issue. I might have to make a button for that we'll see if I have the opportunity to actually make one at a workbench. If not, what I'm going to do is create a button that I can use in my wheel menu, like I use my detonator, but that takes some time. What would it be called? Just looking for a button that I would be able to create. That I can figure out a little bit later. Like I say, it's not the end of the world. Not even that huge a big a deal. I think I got the majority of it done. The things that really needed to get done. And now let's just save this, and this is going to save all on its own when I exit the program. Of course. Now it's time to go back to wire bash and get rid of the things that I've just corrected. Don't need, don't want. Now I know this is a little anal retentive, but that's how I am. I like everything properly tagged. I like to have my damages in the right place. There's a lot of things that are behind the scenes in the Fallout 4 survival series. Okay. I don't need this one anymore. Because it should one thing I should have done was sort masters while I was still in Fallout 4 edit, which I'm gonna have to go back and do. Bash patch has got to go to the bottom. Paladin Bailey's got to go to the bottom. Boston FPS has got to go to the bottom. Scrap everything has got to go to the bottom. In this order, very specifically. This cannot be out of order. This is critical. In the MK Agony unofficial patch. In the BL Better Locational Damage Agony patch. because I have agony extended. Then Jags. Then MK Agony. And I need my overwrites for the rocket launcher, because instead of the missile launcher, which is that giant cumbersome piece of shit that has very little to no use in the game unless you're wearing power armor, to something that actually is man-portable, futuristic, and decent, the overrides need to be at the bottom. My rockets also weigh a hell of a lot less. Instead of being missiles, I renamed them to rockets, and they weigh like 2 pounds or something reasonable. Okay. Now the FNFAL, I can take that one out. My anti-material, I can take that out. A sit rep, I can take that out. My G36, I can take that out. My MPX, I cannot. My M54, I cannot. My Scar L, I cannot. My Chinese assault rifle, I can. My hunting shotgun, I can. My Doom Mac, I can't. A turbo plasma rifle, I can't. My West-Tech, I can. My quad accelerator, I can. Or Schnips, rather. I think Diamond City expansion was taken care of by Lost, so let's dump the Schnips version. I think Workshop Rearranged was another. Lost. I don't see it, so I'm leaving it. The Synth Overhaul. I believe I did see that. I'm getting a little cross-eyed now, so I might be missing something. So I'm going to leave it. LBPAC. I'll review these things again tomorrow when I'm a little less cross-eyed. There's immersive HUD. Brotherhood redo. That's just Brotherhood Recon. Alright, well, I'm reasonably well satisfied at the moment. I not want to mess with it too much more because I'm getting cross-eyed, and when you're getting cross-eyed, you've gone too far. So I'm going to ghost these. Ghost those. Now, unfortunately, I overlooked something that was very important in Fallout 4 Edit. I did not sort the masters when it said add masters, and I approved those. They have to be in the correct order. When you add them, they just go next in the list. So everything needs to be sort masters. And then from there, I can build a bash patch. So fix that one. I think what I'm going to do is, for safety's sake, I'm going to select everything and sort masters for everything. Unfortunately, it takes a little time, but, well, holy shit. Not that much time. 2 seconds. Now I can create a bash patch. Sorting your masters is very, very crucial. To match your load order list. Keeps the stress off of your script extender, so you don't run into some bizarre conflicts. Because master dependency, if your plugin tries to reference a master file that's not above it, then it's not going to work properly. So I'm just going to go my bashed patch. I can't even speak now 2 hours later. And I'm going to rebuild the patch. So apparently my lost agony patch is too high in my load order list. It's got to go down. Let's try that. Perfect. Now, like I say, if you have any questions about something specific that's been in this maintenance tutorial, whether it be a script, something that you need me to go into greater detail on, look at all these level lists that have been modified. Outstanding. See, my Gatling rifle's in there now. Good, good, good. It's going to be interesting to see. And as we close this up, it saves, and bada bing, bada boom. That would be it for mod tutorial on general mod maintenance in mid-game. So I'm going to take a little break so my eyes will get uncrossed. Like I say, if you have any questions about something specific in those processes, leave me a comment and I will try to address it. It's been Hank. Catch you guys on the flip side.